What's up, everyone? Welcome to Into the Cypher State. This is your premier public broadcast of Galactica Network. This is the blockchain for real people, real privacy, and real digital ownership in the world's first Cypher State. Hope you're all welcome. I'm sorry that took a little bit longer than normal. I was just trying to get some of our guests aligned. A couple of things going on here. I see I've got Frederick up on stage. How are you doing today, Frederick? What's up, man?
Hi, Dave. Doing great. Excited as always for the space, even though it's late.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. I don't want to keep you too long. What we're doing tonight, everyone, is we're going to be looking at the testnet specifically, but we're going to be looking at running a validator, because there's far too few people in this world who actually understand what a validator is, what it does, and why they're valuable, and how they actually relate to your blockchain experience. So I think it's a useful topic to cover, get some people educated, and get a bit more understanding in this world of what validators do and why they're so useful to us. Before that, though, we're also going to be talking about the news, various other current events. We were going to switch this around because we were going to talk about the validators first and then the news, but now we're just have to wait for a guest, so we're going to do the news first and then the validator stuff. So I hope you're all up for a normal show this time rather than the changed one that I planned. And we've got Triggs up on stage. How are you doing today, Triggs? If you are speaking, you are muted, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, I was busy typing up a retweet, and so it was blocking my screen. I couldn't hit the unmute button, but yeah,
I can't complain at you for doing a retweet, mate. I can't complain at you for that.
Yeah, I figured that would be okay. I'm gonna get back to it.
Super cool, man. Super cool. And see, we've got CosmosHOSS coming up. I've sent you a co-host invite, mate. Okay, so just while we're waiting for CosmosHOSS to come up, it's probably best to go through our little disclaimer that we do every time. So we are not your financial advisors in any way, shape, or form. We are your guides to the Cypher State, and that goes for everybody up on stage, regardless of whether they're team members or guest speakers. So do not expect financial advice. We will not be giving it. I see we have CosmosHOSS on stage now. How are you doing, buddy? How's the week been for you?
Doing well. Week's been great. I see the title of the space. What exactly is a validator node, anyways? So kind of, I guess I can touch on that. I mean, I run a validator node on the ride chain and Injective.
That's cool, man. We're all here to learn. I figured that we're all here to learn today. I've got some people on who can help us out, so hopefully we can all learn something today.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's great though. I mean, it took me, I don't know, about 2.5 years, three years to kind of say, all right, I'm going to start to do a little bit of validation. Really only right now on those two particular chains because I really align with them. I'm very active in those communities well before I had a validator. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Why not? Right. And I also have a team that essentially they've been validating for forever since like proof of stake was since proof of stake was a thing. So so there's that. And because I never wanted to mess up or have people pissed at me because I just did something wrong. So I was like, I'll just have someone, that I align with their vision and team up. But anyhow, long-winded, glad to be here, excited to be here.
It's always good to have you, man. Always good to have you. I see we've also got Matt Galactic up on stage. How are you doing, Matt? First time seeing you up on stage. How are you doing? If you are trying to speak, you are on mute, my friend. No worries. Well, we're very thankful to have Matt up here anyway. If you figure out the mute button, then we'd be happy to say hello. Let's continue on. I'd like everyone to get comfortable. So we're going to be talking about the latest news and current events first, as I said before. So if you can just all do us a favor before we start, jump down to the purple pill on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, give us a like and a retweet and a comment on the space. It's free. It costs nothing. So just do it. Help us out and get this information out to more people. It's going to be valuable. It's going to be a good time. All right, guys. First things first, obviously, we are going to be looking at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's gone up a little bit after the leg down. I hope everyone's bags are looking good. Always nice to see a slight amount of green after the mild red few days that we've had. We've had Bitcoin NFTs that have been leading the collectibles market yesterday, which is kind of interesting. Like, I think the Bitcoin NFT side of things has really been kicking off. Ordinals, sorry if I've offended anyone. They are ordinals, not NFTs. I should remember this. So I'll just kick off asking anyone on the stage, if you'd like to put up your hand for this one. What is your opinion on ordinals? Actually, you know what, Hoss, I'll get your opinion first. What's your opinion on ordinals, mate?
Kind of thumbs down on it.
Yeah, I saw the thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand it. But to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it just bogs the network down. It makes it very expensive. So if someone wanted to send Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin, it just causes the fees to be a lot higher when I don't think it's really intended for that. I think there's a lot of things that Bitcoin can do, but as much as I love NFTs, like I have an NFT on so many different chains. I don't even know how many. Basically, any major chain that I thought, if we're having this conversation in 10 years from now, they're still going to be around. That's kind of how I always did it. And I don't ever look at them like a financial instrument or a tool, even if they can be potentially worth more in the future, is more just because I like to collect them. But for the ordinals, I just think a lot of it has to do with people that create these really terrible looking NFTs because they can only handle so many bits on the network anyways. And it's more so, oh, well, if I get it over there, maybe I can become rich or wealthy because of, being the first to launch on Bitcoin or whatever. But that's kind of my take on it. But that could just be, could be wrong for
Yeah,
sure.
man. I mean,
Definitely.
it's a new market, right? It's a new
I don't
market. They're chasing everything that's already been kind of done, I guess.
Yeah, there's even inscriptions on the hub since the Atom Hub doesn't have smart contracts, and I'm not even a big fan of that either. I'm just like, I don't know, like whenever there's a blockchain for a specific use case, I kind of really don't like NFTs on them. But I also understand it too, so it's not like I'm 100% opposed to it. It's just not my tea. It's not my preference. Like I want if I want an NFT, if you go on my page and look at my artwork that I basically create, that's an NFT, like actual artwork that takes like 3 hours to like draw up and create, as opposed to some just like pixelated crap. It's like it's just like crap to me. Anyhow,
I
digress.
get it. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, that singular use case kind of deal that you were talking about. Like Bitcoin is like the monetary institution of Web3, and if it's going to like sacrifice any ability to be that really strong monetary institution, I'm not sure it's worth it. Does anyone else have an opinion on Bitcoin ordinals before we move on? Triggs, Matt, Frederick?
I don't have a really strong opinion on it. I haven't spent a whole lot of time researching it. I thought it was interesting when it first came out. I mean, I'm not even that big into NFTs in general, so the idea of NFTs on Bitcoin is like totally lost on me in terms of the value. But what's interesting to me about it, I guess, is how, like, if there's a way to do something, somebody's going to figure it out and try to make it a thing. And especially in Web3 where everything is monetized, right? Like there's every single thing you do in this ecosystem has the chance of making astronomical amounts of money if it happens to hit the right note. And you just never know what note that's going to be. The strangest things strike a chord with people. And inscriptions have been around since the beginning. There's nothing new. It's not like a new technology, but all of a sudden the ordinals just like struck a chord and it really took off and got people interested in this idea of using inscriptions. And it got so popular that it pushed it all the way to the Cosmos Hub. So to me, the whole process is kind of fascinating, but I agree. Like I don't really necessarily see the value of it as far as the NFT component. But I think the inscription, the idea of inscriptions on transactions is interesting. How it can kind of, it's like with imagine like the U.S. dollar. it's common for people to like write little notes on, or put like little marks on a dollar bill and then put it back out into circulation just as a fun, like, you put a mark on something, then it circles around. Who knows? So you probably never see it again, but everybody that comes across it sees that little note you put on that dollar. And I guess the inscription thing is kind of similar to that, in that it's like writing an inscription on a specific transaction for a Satoshi or whatever. And I don't know, that analogy doesn't necessarily perfectly correlate, I guess, but I find it interesting from that perspective. And there could be some value in inscriptions from just kind of like a unique random perspective. But as far as like an NFT platform, just if you want NFTs, go to a chain that supports NFTs. Like, don't waste everybody's time on Bitcoin trying to turn Bitcoin into a chain that supports NFTs when it very clearly doesn't. I guess that's my input.
Yeah, I would kind of agree. There's not much point in chasing demand if if everything's already been done. So unless there is some unique value, if there is unique value, then go all the way. Okay, perfect. So I think we'll just head on to the next couple of items. First things first, actually, is actually the one at the bottom of my list because it's pretty new. So the SEC. The SEC is for anyone not aware, the Securities and Exchange Commission in America, is a regulatory body, is pursuing a legal campaign to classify Ethereum as a security. So the SEC is launching its legal campaign to remake the classification, or just at least classify. It hasn't been classified yet, sorry. So this follows like the SEC issuing subpoenas to US companies in an investigation of Ethereum that actually started in September 2022. And that was after it transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake, so which is very interesting to me. And this, for anyone not aware, that's just the governance model behind the L1. So this legal action seems like it might hinder the approval of any kind of spot ETF for Ethereum that's coming up. I don't know if any of you guys have already seen this news. Hoss, maybe if you want to go first, if you have any info on this already.
No, I actually haven't seen that part of it yet. My take is a little off basis with that particular comment, but I just find all this to be so fascinating. Like I don't like. I know you're not an American, but you can turn on the television, right? And I swear, if you're watching television, like whether it's a sporting event or whatever, 1 out of 3 commercials is probably going to be some sort of gambling commercial, whether it's like, hey, like pull out your app and download MGM and play slots, or it's like a sports betting app, or the other ones is state ran agency. So for those out there that are in America, we have 3 branches of government. We have local, state, and federal. And a lot of the states in America, well, I don't say a lot of them, but basically all of them have some sort of lottery system, whether it's scratch off tickets, or just like playing the numbers or whatever. And they have these like commercials that are nonstop in your face. And to be honest with you, like I find them to be very predatorial, and it's almost like gambling is an addiction, right? It's like a really bad addiction. And unlike actual drugs, like there's no way that you can kind of like know when to stop or whatever. It's like you can win or lose and you still get that adrenaline. So like it's really predatorial, and it's kind of sickening in my opinion. And like that's completely legal here. Like I could just be like, hey, like to my wife, let's go down to the casino, or let's do this. And hell, like nowadays you don't even have to leave. You could just play online or whatever. And I can lose everything and it's fine. But like they have such an issue with like CosmosHOSS being like, oh, you know what? Or I would like to take some of my pay and have it go directly into a Bitcoin Ethereum ETF. Like that's bad, but like all the other stuff is okay. And it's just so fascinating to me. I just find it very, I don't know, man. Like we obviously know why, but like it's just kind of sickening in my opinion. Like I think it should just be like whatever, at this point, whatever anyone wants to do with their money, go ahead and do it. But we're not going to give you a refund or something. My rant's over.
Yeah, I get it. But the other side of that, like the devil's advocate position there, is obviously people need a safe, secure way to transact. It's as simple as that. They need that. This is one of the reasons why we're building Galactica Network, obviously. the ability to actually be private and act in the way that you want to act with your freedom and sovereignty and autonomy intact, while also being able to prove your compliance. Absolutely massive, that particular combination.
But
so,
can you repeat the part about like what was the issue with Ethereum?
So with Ethereum, it looks like, hang on, I'm just going to bring up the actual full article here because it's much easier to bring up like the summary here. So I'll just read out the summary here. So the SEC is reportedly pursuing a legal campaign to classify Ethereum as a security. In fact, Fortune reports that a plethora of US companies were subpoenaed relating to an ongoing investigation into ETH after their transition to proof of stake in 2022. Let's see here. The development further threatens the Ethereum
It's kind of weird.
ETF. There's not really anything.
It's kind of weird though
so
because
far.
they already kind of. I was gonna say it's kind of weird. Sorry to cut you off. It's kind of weird though because they classified it not as a security. Like the whole XRP thing that was happening for a while. Like XRP got deemed as a security, and Ethereum didn't. Even though like Ethereum was back in like 2015 or whatever it was. I forget what year they had literally an ICO, which is clearly a security. If you raise money, and have, that's clearly a security if anyone can participate in it. Even though, like, again, my role is like, I don't give a shit what people do. Like, you can buy, if you want to buy whatever you want. If I want to go spend all my money on Pokemon cards, like, you know what I mean? Even though I don't, it's kind of, past my time. But if you literally want to work all day long and collect freaking Pokemon cards or whatever, you should be able to do whatever you want to do. So, this whole thing is kind of just so odd. Now, if like in America, like the reason I was using the whole gambling reference I could see if we had issues with that and like gambling was bad and they're like, you're not allowed to gamble and do all this other stuff. And then, then them having such a harsh stance on crypto or why they're taking so damn long to get kind of just greenlight it, then I can completely understand. But you can't have it like one way. So people can literally lose their lives and be depressed and lose everything by just going and gambling or buying scratch off tickets and stuff, and then and then be like, well, you know what, you can't. We're going to make it really difficult for you to buy Bitcoin and buy this and do this and that. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. No, I get what you're saying about making it legally and having like rails of legitimacy and all that stuff. I have no problem with that. But, it's 2024. Crypto's been around for a long time now. Even though we're still early. It's just like green lighted already. Like all these other countries are green lighting. It's just like, just green light it. Find a way that you guys can make money off of it or get campaigning and donating and lobbyists or whatever. But just like, keep it moving. Let's go already.
You would think. Give us a thumbs up in the chat, guys. Thumbs up emoji if you think we should just have the SEC just say yes to crypto and you're just bored of it. Okay. So if you can also, while you're thumbs upping, just give us a like and a retweet on the space, that'd be also very, very cool. Thank you very much. So next thing on our list, the Bitcoin halving. So everyone kind of thought that the Bitcoin halving would end up happening on like April 28th this year. But because of Bitcoin's recent kind of price surges, people have been, like miners have been increasing the hash rate because they've been deploying more powerful equipment, the network sped up, and now we're looking at April the 15th for the Bitcoin halving. So it's going to be sooner than you might think. So just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that if that could change again. Good to know. So we've also just wanted to do a quick comment on the meme coin craze that's going on right now. I would say we've probably hit peak degeneracy. I don't know. I hope so. I really do. Apparently, there's been over $100 million raised in the last 3 days on pre-sales for meme coins. That's a lot of money. Guys on the panel, do you have do you hold meme coins? What are your opinion on them, guys?
Oh man, meme coins are they're funny, man. It's like, again, I mean, if you can literally download any application on your phone and have instant access to just gamble, bet on sports and everything else, if someone wants to buy a stupid ass meme coin, then so be it. You know, I don't preach meme coins. You know, in fact, I get a lot of people that reach out to me like, "Hey, would you like to be a part of this meme coin or whatever?" Or like, I'm like, look, I don't really talk about meme coins because I don't want people to get wrecked and be like, well, why are you talking about it? I only, if I do talk about meme coins, it's more just for fun. Again, I don't buy meme coins because I think I'm going to become some wealthy person. I think a lot of people probably do, and maybe some people get lucky and they actually do. But like that, I'm the same person. When I was at my old job, people would go around like, "Hey, you want to throw $5 in the pot? We're going to buy a bunch of Powerball tickets." And like, you know, sometimes the Powerball got up over $1 billion, and I would be like, "No, thank you." People would
I
ridicule me at
feel
work.
like that's exactly what you were just talking about, like the gambling and degeneracy stuff. Like, I think we've opened up an open, like, permissionless financial system that is like a hotbed for gambling to a bunch of people who may not be prepared for the consequences of that. So that's the only thing I like about, like, on meme coins. I have nothing against them. I have nothing against the concept. I have nothing against people putting money in them. I only want to make sure that, like, just to everyone listening, maybe, like, if you are dealing with meme coins, with illiquid assets that are, like, with the owner unknown, with the, you know, the code base that you're dealing with completely unknown, just make sure that you know the consequences of your actions and assume that it's going to take your money and put it down at zero, because otherwise your
Yeah.
mental health will suffer. That's all I'll say.
Oh, for sure. Like that was one of the points that I was going to lead into is basically, you know, it's if you want to mess around with them because you think you're going to make money. I mean, I don't recommend it, but if you were to do something like that, I would only be taking a few percent of your overall portfolio, and just like what we just indicated there, just anticipate it going to zero, and don't complain and don't cry and don't boohoo and don't whine, because like that could easily happen. Now, as for the culture of memes, like I like it because it's more like it's people know it's a stupid, risky endeavor, and it's like, well, leave us alone. We don't care. We know that you know that it's stupid and idiotic, but we're gonna do it anyways. And so, like from that thing, it's almost like a middle finger. It's almost like, okay, yeah, f you. Like we're gonna buy it anyhow. So from that aspect, I like it because, like I said, I don't care what people do with their own time on planet Earth. Like, you know, as long as you're not harming people and killing people or whatever, like, so be it. Buy whatever you want to do whatever you want to do, you know? And so that's kind of always been my stance on that. Now, for me, do I spend much time looking at meme coins? Absolutely not. There's so many of them. I think some of them are funny, you know? And then, like, on Solana, you know, it's intense. Like I have a Mad Lad, and honestly, every day, every other day at max, maybe every 2 days, 3 days, I'm getting a random meme coin airdropped into my wallet. And sometimes they're worth some 20, 30, $50, sometimes $100, sometimes worth nothing. But it's just kind of funny. And so for that, from that aspect, I think it's hilarious because rant's about to end here. I promise you, people. But I had someone come to my home a couple of years ago because I needed something done to the house, and we're just start bullshitting about some stuff. And I don't even know. I always turn every conversation into some sort of crypto topic. But the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I own some crypto," and I was just curious. Like he was about my age, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, what is it? Right? What do you own?" And he starts talking about Dogecoin. I'm like, "You own anything else?" He's like, "No, I own a little bit of Bitcoin, but I own a lot of Dogecoin." And I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, prototypical, you know, degenerate gambler mentality, to be honest with you. It's like, that's just how it is. People think that, you know, because you get like a trillion tokens of some meme coin that you're going to be some billionaire. Maybe you are. I'm
No.
not going to kill you.
If you have trillions of a coin, you're a trillionaire. But come on, get with the
Exactly.
program, boss.
Exactly. You know, so don't get me wrong, I own some meme coins, but like it's nothing serious. It's like, if it all went to zero tomorrow, those meme coins, I literally wouldn't lose 3 seconds of sleep over it. You know what I mean? So
I got you.
that's
I got you. Well, I'll tell you what. How about we throw it open like this, guys? What do you guys reckon about the relationship between a meme coin, which is essentially like a financially incentivized community? Do you think you can actually have a community that is held together purely by a gambling mentality in finance? Sorry, A-Star, you came off your mic there. I don't know if you wanted to answer the previous thing before we go to that.
I just wanted to mention that there's one thing I really like about meme coins, is that it kind of shows the permissionlessness and independence that we now build ourselves in the blockchain world, that you don't have to use a centralized government-given currency, but you can just spin up your own and do whatever you want, and create your dog token and a community that's interacting in some way. But otherwise, I think meme coins are fun, but a really bad thing for speculation, because as soon as you hear about it, it's probably already so hyped up that you're most probably going to lose when investing in it.
100%. Yeah. The second that it's on your timeline, guys, it's not news, not news to anyone except you. So don't get caught out. So yeah, I guess on the question that I just asked, maybe Triggs, I haven't heard too much from you, mate. Maybe you can answer this one. Do you think that like finance can be like the glue that holds a community together, or do you think it needs more than that?
Yeah, I absolutely think that a community could be held together by that. I think it's really predicated on the maturity of the backbone, I guess, of that financial thing. If you have a meme coin that has terrible distribution, and if there's a ton of it out there that is held by mercenary capital or whatever, like it really depends on how it's distributed. And I think that's what's fun about meme coins, is that it's this like massive rapid iteration on experimentation with distribution methodology. And I think that what data analysts are going to learn from analyzing how different meme coins approach their distribution methodology is going to revolutionize the future of marketing. I think that this concept of the airdrop or the meme coin drop or whatever to like cold start a community is really fascinating. And I think in the future we're going to see all kinds of interesting ways that we utilize this technology to drive really organic community initiatives and like grassroots initiatives and all that kind of stuff. But right now it's all just it's not even speculation. I wouldn't even call it speculation. It's literally just gambling. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se, but the trick comes in, and like you were saying, really understanding what you're getting yourself into, because the blockchain space isn't mature enough to have the kind of like I guess like global knowledge, like the communal knowledge of what makes a good meme coin and what makes a risky, dangerous meme coin, right? Because it's totally possible for somebody to build all kinds of backdoors and hidden things in the construction of a meme coin and the smart contracts that issue it or whatever that are designed to fleece the community after it reaches a certain critical mass or something like that. That's always the risk, right? So
100%. Yeah. I'm actually really
dangerous to get in that
curious.
game.
I'm actually really curious, Triggs, on like how anyone will start building like community-focused coins on Galactica, because on Galactica you'll be able to essentially like founders will be able to verify their intent, I guess, by like having a strong enough reputation and wanting to keep that reputation. You'll be able to kind of weed out the poor actors in the space. So I don't know. What do you think of any future like community coin kind of landscape on Galactica?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I agree. It will be exciting to see how people play around with that. I mean, if you look at history, right, like there's analog versions of this that you can see all over the place. There's this little town close to me where they made some kind of like local script, they called it. It was just script. And it was just some made up currency that they made for the town. And the town was so small, and everyone in the town was so bored that they were just like, this sounds awesome. We're totally. And so a lot of local businesses started accepting script, and they turned it into like a viable local currency. And we've seen examples of that all over the world over the course of time. Little local places trying to start their own currency, or like a company town back in the day when there used to be like company towns in early American history. They would have their own local currency in that company town, and it totally worked. And it's all predicated on that aspect of trust, right? So when you have a platform like Galactica that provides the ability to build that kind of trust through reputation, then I think it's inevitable that we're going to see some really interesting, viable currencies that pop up based on nothing but community and reputation.
For sure, man. For sure. I mean, there are going to be people who are willing to be good founders. There are good founders in this space, even in like the community coin space. There are good people. It's just that they're very few and far between amongst the scammers. So this is one of the reasons.
I was gonna say too, like with meme coins, when you are, or if anyone is trying to like participate in meme coins, obviously be a part of the community and understand what it's about, but you can look and investigate. The ones that you kind of want to look for if you're trying to do something like that is the ones that, they have a liquidity pool and essentially all their tokens are locked. There's nothing they can do. Like you can't rug if like there's the team didn't get a huge supply of their token or whatever it is. And I don't want to say you can't rug, but it's less likely that you can rug if all the tokens are accounted for. And they're just like locked in a liquidity pool, and there's no way anyone can like unlock it, because then the market kind of dictates what the price is going to do, go up or down. And if the market likes it, it can go up a lot. If the market doesn't like it, can go down a lot. But you can't just have someone just, oh, you know what, there's a coin and let me just dump all of it now because it's at a certain amount. Like that's what you want to try to stay away from if you are going to look into like a meme coin, because yeah, it can go up, but then a team has 20% of the total supply, they just dump their entire 20% and grab all the USDC or ETH or whatever it's paired to, you know what I mean? So like you just got to be really careful if you are going to speculate, so to speak, on a meme coin. Like for me, the meme coins I have, it's just more for fun. It's like I think they're going to be around. I did my due diligence and that's it. Like if they're still around in 5 years from now, that's even better. But if not, like I said, I'm not going to lose any sleep because I'm not leveraged. Like 35% of my portfolios in meme coins, or some. I mean, I know there's some people at way higher than that. It's just insane to me. I'm like a few percent. I'm like whatever. It's more just for fun, more just for vibes. Other than that, like whatever. So
yeah, I got you, man. I got you. Just don't play with stuff that you don't have, guys. So I just want to end the news segment on something a bit less memey. BlackRock and your favorite guy, Larry Fink, Hoss. Larry Fink and BlackRock have created a fund with Securitize. This is like a really big player in real-world asset tokenization. Basically, Larry Fink, he views the company's filings for the spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs as preparatory steps towards like the mass tokenization of assets, and they've made this announcement of this new fund. So it's going to be incorporated in the British Virgin Islands, I imagine, just for tax purposes, and then the specific assets in the fund, they haven't actually been disclosed yet. But Securitize is basically just real-world assets, and that's pretty much what they do. So we're pretty sure that's what it's going to be. And I find this very interesting because we have been looking from Galactica's perspective at tokenization firms, tokenization companies, people who are specializing in tokenizing real-world assets to bring on board as guardians. As if you're not aware, our guardians are capable of basically notarizing your off-chain data and then giving it to you so that you can hold it in self-custody, and then you can inform zero-knowledge proofs to prove aspects of that data on-chain. So it's basically a link to the real world that maintains your privacy at every step, even from the person who is notarizing your data. So that's really cool. If, for example, Securitize were to become a guardian for Galactica, that would be absolutely like enormous. It would mean like so many of the firm's tokenized real world assets would be able to flow on chain while maintaining everyone's privacy rights. It would be massive for institutions and like individuals alike. So I'm personally very excited by this news. I like kind of the way that Larry Fink is going in his actions, if not in his words. Is that about a fair summary, Hoss?
yeah, they always say, look, watch what the actions are, not the wording. If you listen to him all years ago, you'd have thought, crypto was going to go to zero. He had no interest in it and everything else. Now he's the complete opposite. And like I said, it's like crypto is whenever anyone can, like, most people don't understand technology. Like, that's a fact, regardless of their background. Like, they could have a PhD degree in astrophysicist. Like, they probably don't know too much about crypto because you have to learn it yourself. But once people start to understand what it's about, what it can do, what it potentially can do, and all the future possibilities, people start to get enamored with it. And then from a monetary perspective, if you can figure out ways to make your archaic legacy systems better and more improved, more efficient, cheaper, faster, scalable, and all that type of stuff, then you really start to get enamored. And like from their perspective was like, okay, this is like ways that we can monetize this and make a lot of money. And then that's all of a sudden when they start to get all, oh yay, thumbs up. And but yeah, I mean, just see what they're trying to do. They're trying to like take over. Like basically they want their people that have all the money for it to be like an adult playground for them, to be able to move money around quicker, more efficiently, and cheaper, and basically instantaneously, right? Instant settlement. And that's been the whole premise. So that's why even in this space, it gets kind of annoying if you're someone that just likes tech, but everything's still built around the monetary system, because once they're in, then everything else kind of just falls into place, and there's just unlimited resources in it, and we're starting to see it. So, thumbs up.
100%, man. 100%. Okay. So I think what we'll do, I actually need to get our tech guy. So this is Mike T, one of our really, really cool developers. I'm just trying to get him up. Triggs, I don't know if maybe you can give your take on the on the BlackRock news, just while I try and get Mike T up. If you have an opinion on it, otherwise, no worries. We can find something else.
Oh, yeah, we go.
Oh, there we go.
Double click my mute button. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Haas on the the influx thing. It's just like we're looking at an increase of stability by getting more of these institutions involved, I guess. And yeah, what Fink is doing definitely speaks to the fact that he's he's investing into the crypto space. He obviously believes in it, despite what he was saying before. There's the argument of all the like paper crypto that is being produced by this institutional adoption and leading investors, down the wrong path in terms of how to invest in crypto. But I guess my perspective is just that any legitimacy that we can get into the ecosystem is going to help progress our cause. And if the way that these institutions are going about it is against the core ethos of crypto, it just puts more of an onus on us as builders, ethos driven builders, to prove why and to show people. If BlackRock can onboard a massive amount of people into just accepting the fact that crypto is going to stay, that's a win in my book. And then the battle becomes, now that they're got one foot in the door, how do we get the rest of them, in the building, so to speak?
That's the way, man. 100%. Yeah. I think too many people in the Web3 space are like, including me. At one point, early on in my crypto adventures, I was of the opinion like we need to be anarchistic in our nature, and try and and not try and do connections with the real world. And that's just the wrong view. Like Web3 is not divorced from the real world. It can't be. It needs to be working in parallel and in tandem with the real world. We are all people. We're all human beings behind these accounts. And in order for Web3 to be a sovereign internet that's fit for everyone, we need to be able to include everyone, and that includes people in the physical world. So we need these links. We need this ability to have value from real world assets and people on chain. We have to do this just to bring legitimacy to our space. I see we actually have Mike T up on stage now. I'm really thankful to have him up and to have his time. He's one of our primary developers and leads the development team. So thank you very much for coming, Mike, and giving us your time here, mate. How are you doing today? What's up, man?
Hi, Dave. Hi, guys. Happy to be here. It's a wonderful day today, wonderful evening. Yeah, all good on my side. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm on Spaces, so this is my element. I'm happy here, and we've got these wonderful people in the listener panel, so it's a good time. Speaking of which, guys, if you could just we'll do a quick reset. If you could just give us a little like and a retweet on the bottom right there for us, that would be eternally thankful. It doesn't cost you any time. It just helps us out. We're going to be giving away an awful lot of good information. Obviously, we've been giving you some alpha takes on the news. Obviously, it's us. But we're also about to give you all the information you ever wanted to know about validation, why it works, what it is, all the good stuff, as well as how it relates to Galactica. So let's carry on, guys. We are going to move on to the primary topic of the space. It's right up there in the title. What exactly is a validator node anyway? And we're going to be relating this to Galactica's new testnet and your new ability to run your own validator node. First things first, I'd better just get some background from the three guys up here who I know have experience in validation. But I think we'll go for Hoss first. So Hoss, you said you didn't actually have any, like, you said you've had experience with validators, just not like directly, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been running nodes like on my own, just messing around. One of the things I wanted to learn how to do once I got kind of familiarized with blockchain was to learn how to like CLI, because I don't come from some coding background, more like a business background, but been a huge tech enthusiast my entire life and been very good with the computers. I know how to build a computer from scratch and all that, but I didn't really have any very general basic understanding of how to code, but like I could read it more so than actually write it. And then I was like, all right, let me learn. And then, learned the CLI, and I learned how to, like, I think my first node that I ever ran was on Osmosis, and it was more just for messing around. And then, so I got into being a validator, honestly, I think like October of 23. So it's been pretty recent. It was when the first validator node was on a ride chain. And I'm also now on Injective. And those are like the two that I'm on the active set. And the two that I kind of align with, I spend a lot of time and focal point on, whether it's like with the community, through NFTs, through like different protocols. So I know a lot about it. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well do it, because I look at it more than just, securing the network, the integrity, like with the consensus and all that, more so too. Because a lot of people, sometimes they don't vote, and people don't realize, like, if the validator votes and everyone that's delegating to you votes, then the validator vote really doesn't even matter, because it's like it doesn't supersede your vote. It's only for people that don't vote. So I always have the intentions of the community. For example, on a ride chain, there's a proposal. There's two up right now. One is for Talus, which is like a really cool NFT marketplace. And in fact, like, I love it. Like, I would vote yes for my validator node, but we have like a structure, and they kind of not purposely did it. It was just miscommunication, where we have a 7-day Commonwealth period. So people out there, what that really is like, we have a discussion period. Like, you talk about what you're going to do and what you're going to offer, and kind of the roadmap, and then the deliverables and whatever. And people get the bullshit about it, like, oh yeah, that's awesome, cool, no, I don't like this, or you should add this or subtract this, and like, it's like an open discussion. So whether you are building something amazing or not, if you don't do that part, then I kind of just vote no matter what, even if I'm going to vote yes. So like, that is something that I put a stance on, was like, I'm voting no. However, if they would have followed the steps, then I'm going to vote yes. So like, in the back of my mind, if it passes, then it's like, okay, like, it's okay, like, I'm not going to have any qualms with it. But just from principle, I vote no. But the way I look at my voting as a validator is, I have the best interest of the community. Like, that's what I have. Like, I don't care if it pisses off the other people, or the foundations or whomever. I just try to be like, okay, this is what I think's best for the community. So that's why I like to do it. And also, it could be somewhat more rewarding too, right? Like, you can actually potentially make some passive income from it. Maybe you don't. My goal is always just to break even, because it's not cheap to run hardware. It can be kind of
It's
expensive.
really
So
not. It's not free. It's not.
No,
So
and
that's
it's not,
perfect,
and then
actually. Sorry,
yeah,
Ross. I just wanted to carry on, man, because it's there's a lot of stuff that we need to get through. But like,
no,
it's
you're good.
really important to have like your opinion and Triggs, I think, because you guys kind of represent both sides of the scale. You are like the individual who does this kind of thing, just on a really small scale. Whereas Triggs, I think, if I'm correct, you work for a validation company, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so Cleomedes is it's a decentralized enterprise that is running a validator arm as part of our organization. And so, we, as a decentralized, project, we have a community and our own token, and we try to bring up contributors from the ecosystem to join Cleomedes to do things like help us with our validators and run other successful business initiatives. And so, the validator side of it, we run on like 31 or so, I think, different chains right now. So yeah, it's a fairly large organization from that perspective. But we're also a pretty small group of people in terms of like the core contributors that are involved in the day-to-day decisions and that sort of thing. I have a community of people that engage with a certain amount of stuff, but the actual execution of day-to-day tasks is a pretty small group.
Yeah, of course,
I don't know.
That's absolutely perfect, Triggs. So that's a great set of people to have, and then we've got our developers as well. So obviously we've got Mike T and we've got Frederick up here. So if we start with Mike T, what's your background and what's your involvement with the validators from Galactica side?
Yup, Dave. I'm here, listening to you. Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure, no problem, man, no problem. I realize you're busy. So I was just asking you what's your background and what's your involvement with the validators for Galactica.
Yep. Currently, we're actually getting up the network. We have launched the DevNet some time ago, but the DevNet was launched with our local validators that are all inside. So we were kind of controlling the whole network, and we were building on that. The ZK KYC was built completely there, and now we are moving to the testnet. We're actually preparing the Genesis configuration and all the rest. And what is cool about the testnet is that we will have a lot of outside validators there. So it's not like the network that's controlled by us, but it actually a first decentralized network of Galactica. And yep, we are working on getting it up, and we are quite close now to everything. The repository with config instructions is ready, so we are finishing the last steps. We are polishing it, and we are starting to sign the first validators from outside.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely beautiful, Mike. And you should probably be like, just ready. Just get ready for the next couple of weeks, guys. The next couple of weeks are going to be really cool. That's all I'll say there. And Frederick, mate, do you have? I don't know how much involvement you really have with the validators, but I assume that you just have some input on some of the validation stuff anyway. Your opinion is always so valuable here.
Yeah, thanks. And maybe to the listeners, my background is in computer science. At university, I started doing a lot of robotics and some old school AI. Then I got into crypto around 2000, 2020. So started working as a blockchain engineer at Galactica. I'm not really an expert on our validator, but I have installed it. I know a bit of the basics and know a bit of the code, gave feedback there. Primarily, I work on the zero-knowledge circuits that you need to create zero-knowledge proofs to prove that you are complying to some regulation or maintaining your privacy. I'm working a bit on the smart contracts and on the wallet integration in the MetaMask snap.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. You guys have probably already heard Frederick on some of these spaces before. He's an absolute A-star. Sorry, and he really does know his stuff. So first things first, guys. I just want everyone to understand where do validators sit in like the workings of a layer 1 blockchain? I want to keep it as simple as that for the first question, then we're going to get rapidly on to like the more advanced stuff. But I just want everyone to have some context. So maybe Frederick, maybe you could help out with that one.
So validators are quite essential for a blockchain. So because a blockchain is basically a distributed depend-only ledger, and this ledger that's holding the data of who owns how many tokens and who's transferring what from where to where. Also with smart contracts, it's really important that you have this world computer, and the state of this computer needs to be stored somewhere, and this is done in the validators. So you can think of it as a validator as the server that is providing the blockchain to its users, that is accepting transactions that it should include on chain. It's doing the processing and also validation to check that only people with the right signature are allowed to transfer funds. And assess the role is really essential, and a lot of features are also built on top of the validator. So, for example, a really important one is the concept of consensus, that with this distributed ledger, it makes sense that all of them agree on what is the one state. And this is the consensus mechanism, how different validators are voting on what the correct version of the chain is.
Absolutely.
Maybe just as a general introduction.
I would say that validators actually are a blockchain. So because without validators, there is no blockchain. Huh?
100%. Yeah. I mean, if Mike, I don't know if you want to maybe give us your little spiel on this, and then like maybe how you envision validators kind of contributing to our broader mission here at Galactica. How maybe there's anything different, anything like that.
Well, this is kind of simple, because without outside validators, we won't have a decentralized blockchain, and that's it. So we need lots of them actually to be ready for the mainnet. And now what we are doing on the testnet is to start working with the guys, start working with different validators. We're gonna check the performance of everyone and see who is working with like most uptime. I think that is like super important for the mainnet launch, to get a set of validators ready for that, and so that all the validators in that set are reliable, and that they all are not controlled by some like by one party, let's say. So yeah, that is kind of crucial.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's key to decentralization. So I'm going to start with like some really early bird questions now that we have a little bit of context. In fact, Hoss or Triggs, if you want to raise your hand at any point, and if you want to like add any questions that you think maybe the audience will find like interesting to have the answers to, please do raise your hands, and then we can do that. I've just got a list of questions that I want to get through just to get the basics done. So from the newcomers, I've kind of had our sentinels and a few of our community members give us like the questions that they really, really want to know the answer to. So firstly, everyone has kind of seen the minimum hardware and software requirements for running a validator as an individual. So obviously newcomers kind of need a clear understanding of the technical resources they need to do this without any issues and over a long period of time. So we have minimum specs in the documentation. Is there like a recommended spec that you would say for running a validator through testnet, and like maybe for another 4 years or something like that, Mike G?
Yep. So it is kind of hard to predict how it will grow, because we're not only like the network will grow with new blocks, but also we're going to develop it further, and we have lots of features upcoming. We will going to be releasing the reputation itself coming months, and yeah, for that, I think the requirements will grow anyways, and this is hard to predict right now. Yeah, but for now, and for I think this testnet at least, for the coming months, the requirements that are listed in our docs are sufficient. I think it's like 4 CPU plus 16 gigabytes of the operational memory. And yeah, that's good enough for the start. And then yeah, we all can increase it. I mean,
Okay.
with the virtual machines, it's easy.
Perfect. Well, I've got a small follow-up question after that, but Hoss, you had your hand up, mate. Did you have something else to add to that?
No, he kind of covered all of it. I was going to say, if you are going to get into validating, and I'm sure Triggs can mention or add more to it, but I would always recommend to do like what the highest amount that you can afford to do, because then you want it to be future proof. Like, even like when you're building the computer, like I built computers, I'm trying to build it so I don't need to change the parts to it. I want it to be future proof, and if I have to, then eventually I can. Okay, I want to get a new GPU or a new this, and I can just like plug and chug it, But you don't want to do the bare minimum, because as the network gets more intense and more data and more whatever you want to call it on it, it's going to be more intrusive to your hardware. You want to be kind of future proof. And all networks are different. Some, like, typically if you look, for example, the validator that I run on Injective is very intense. Like the block times is like 0.8 millisecond, not even a second. It's quicker than a second, so it's really fast. And you need to have like the hardware to handle it, or else you're just going to miss blocks. And if you miss too many blocks, you get slashed and you can get gel and everything else. So it's like, I don't want the anxiety of it running something that's not up to date, up to par, if you will. So it's like, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Now, again, that all has to do with, it's not cheap, it's not free. So you want to kind of budget that. If you're just someone that's like, the way I kind of look at it too, is if you get in a network like Galactica early, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm eating some cost initially, but I'm also getting a bunch of tokens that I feel like in, a year, 2, 3 years, it's going to be worth this much. So it's like, really, are you losing right now? Because you're almost just investing in a network anyhow. So whatever you want to take from that.
That's a great take. That's a great take, guys. Yeah, if you can afford to future proof, then do it. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. It should also be noted that for mainnet, at least, you'll need to have a citizenship to run a validator. But on the testnet, you won't need to have a citizenship. You'll just need to pass some basic registrations. I think that's correct. My follow-up question was, which hardware within your validator node, which pieces get outdated first, and which pieces would you need to upgrade first as the network grows, Mike T?
I would say that it is all mostly about our upcoming features. So that we need to work on like some component that will be indexing the Merkle proofs, so that generating them is fast and simple for the users, so that you don't generate it like on your machine 100%. It will just make the UX better. Yeah. And then I think we're going to release the bridge and the reputation. So these are like very huge features. We're going to test them on the testnet. So there will be like bug bounties for sure and other campaigns related to that. But yeah, I would say that Galactica is not like in its finished scope right now. So lots of work to be done.
Absolutely fair. The next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was are there any actual risks involved in being a validator? Just for full transparency for anyone listening who's thinking about running a validator or telling anyone else about it, are there any actual particular risks?
No, the risk I think is to be slashed, so that you lose the part of your stake. But on testnet, it's not like actually an issue, because I think to all the guys we will provide the stakes ourselves, and it's like devnet, so the coins doesn't worth much there. Yeah, so actually the risks come when you go to the mainnet, and for now I think all the risks, like if you run a validator that skip blocks, that doesn't perform good, you will just lose the monies you spend for it to like run the server and all this stuff, and not get to the mainnet in the end, that would be sad actually. So yeah, getting a better machine is something you should consider actually.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. Hoss, you've got your hand up, mate.
Yeah, so my point's more towards mainnet. I'm sure Triggs, if he wants to chime in, he can. But it's very competitive, and it's very, if you're not towards the middle to upper echelon on total delegations, it can be a little bit. I don't want to call. You can have a lot of anxiety. It's like, oh, because people don't realize. Like, say there's only, we'll just say 60. Most chains are more than 60, but we'll just use 60 for example. If you're in the active set, then you earn the token. If you're not in the active set, then you don't earn the token. So a lot of times it could be a lot of hard work to get to the active set, and sometimes it might be political or whatever have you will. And it's like, if you're not in the active set, then sometimes, well, not sometimes, most times you just shut down shop, because it's like, what's the point? You're spending how much money you're spending on running the service per month, and you're not actually bringing in any money. So that could be troubling. And also, if you make any mistakes, people are probably going to be pissed at you. Now, you probably should just be slash proof. So what that means is, like, if you do get slashed, you just basically refund the people. Most chains aren't too expensive on that front for the most part. So if you do get slashed, and for those out there, like, what is he talking about? If you delegate to a proof of stake, it's not 100% proof that you can't lose money. Like, not lose money, but lose token. And so sometimes it happens, and the validators generally just refund the people back whatever token that they lost. So there's that. But then also, from the voting side, some people, you vote a certain way and it pisses people off. And then the thing about crypto, unlike anything, is you can have very little minimal skin in the game, and people can cause a ruckus, like on Twitter and everything else, like kind of pitchforking for people to redelegate out of your validator. Now, I've never ran into any of these issues, but this is also one of the things that was in the back of my mind on why it took me almost 3 years to start running validators, because I was like, I just don't want to deal with any of that stuff. I just want to have a good time, right? Like, I don't want to deal with any of the bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say that this is a good good stage for testing yourself, the testnet actually. So you don't have that much risks, and you can try if it works. Like, if this work is for you, if you're able to maintain it, to manage it, you can check, and this will not be like that much costly, I would say.
100%, and actually, that comes into mind of what we were discussing with the Sentinels not too long ago about the minimum specs of the validators in the documentation, and we figure that you can probably get a machine like that for about $100. So it's not a massive outlay. Sorry, Triggs first. You came off mic, so I'll go for you first, and then A-Star, you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on desktop, and then for some reason they don't have the ability to raise your hand, so I can't follow the instructions properly. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, mate. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. The interface is saying I'm still muted, so I wasn't sure. I had one comment I wanted to throw in on the for the equipment side of it. One thing to keep in mind, and depending on the chains, different ones have different requirements, but high performance chains like Injective, like Hoss was talking about, especially, the hard drive that you run is actually extremely important. And so for our validators, we run solid state drives on all of our machines. And something that a lot of people probably don't think about from a standard user perspective, but from like a server architecture perspective, hard drive lifespan is just an inherent part of the ongoing cost, the operating expenses of equipment. And so you really want to factor in, especially with solid state drives, they have a limited amount of read write that they can do before that block is toast. Each block on a solid state drive can read and write so many times, and then it's just done. And good quality solid state drives have a large buffer built into it, so you can afford to lose quite a few blocks on that drive before you start losing overall capacity. But at the end of the day, you are going to burn through your hard drives as you if you're running solid state drives like you probably should be, you're going to burn through them over time. And so that's a replacement cost that you have to factor in along with other operating costs like electricity and that sort of stuff.
Okay, so Triggs, if we were to assume that I was using like an NVMe SSD for like maximum speed, trying to get the max out of my validator, I should assume that my hard drive is consumable then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we're like keeping records on how long our hard drives last for different chains that we operate on, so we can kind of like nail down more of a better, like more accurate cost estimate for running chains. But as traffic starts to build up, then activity increases, and the lifespan of your hard drive is going to decrease. So over time, you're going to have to replace them more and more frequently.
Triggs, what do you like? What was your worst? I cannot say worst, but what was the quickest one? Maybe you can say the chain, but also what was the time frame?
Probably about 8 months, I think, was the fastest we burned through a hard drive. I'm expecting that to increase though on really like a chain like Injective that's just cranking all day, every day at full speed. I could see it being shorter than that.
Yeah, it does crank. Injective's a beast, dude. It's like, this is intense.
That's actually a lot shorter than I expected. 8 months.
And then what's another thing people don't realize is like they'll go on a chain like Injective, like a community. You'll click on a validator, and you're like, oh, it's missing some blocks. It doesn't really matter as long as it's not missing a ton of blocks. It's like whenever they're that fast, it's nearly impossible not to miss blocks. Like it's just like impossible, because a lot of it has to do with your bandwidth too, like where you're actually geographically located at. But yeah, like I think on Injective I'm at like 93% blocked, which is like in my opinion is really good on Injective. Now I went with 93% on some other chain that's not that intense, but you know, like some chain, like a lot of chains, 5-6 second block times, like you should probably hit all your blocks. But when it's like 0.8, like you're basically gonna miss some blocks. But it's not a big deal as long as you're not missing like half your blocks.
Wow. Okay, I'm learning a lot today. This is great. I just want to throw out another. Oh, God, Frederick. Sorry, mate. You had your hand up. Please go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I completely agree. I wanted to add one more thing about the risks, because even though the main risks are, of course, on the mainnet regarding slashing your investment in time and hardware, but I also want to mention the cybersecurity risk, because when you are running a validator, everyone can see that you are running a validator, and people can see your IP and also try to attack your node. So I think even on a testnet, it's important that you go through the list of things that you need to do to harden your validator. So things like make sure that your firewall is up, that you keep the system up to date, and all those basics I think are important to learn in the testnet, to try it out, and then to prepare yourself also for the mainnet where the real stake is in, and then you also the keys that are on the validator are more important than on the testnet. Absolutely
beautiful, Frederick. I didn't consider that in any of this stuff yet. Honestly, guys, retweet and like this space. Please do it. Bookmark it. Whatever you need to do. Push this out to as many people as you can, because we are dropping some information that is useful to everyone who's interested in validators right now. So please just make sure you help us out in that way. So I was just going to ask one final question on like the new kind of for new people. I was going to ask, what kind of support does Galactica actually offer for new validators? Is there any like support package for anyone who's doing this, or what's the process right now? This goes to Mike, sorry, or Frederick, whoever.
Yeah, I can start and then I can continue if I miss something. But basically, there are a couple of sources you can go to. I personally would go to our documentation first, so docs.galactica.com, where you can find a section about a validator guide, how to install it, how to join the testnet as soon as we release the Genesis file, and also how to use the validator with the command line. You can also find it in our GitHub. There's a wiki section And then whenever you have questions, I think the best place to go to is our Discord, because in the Discord there are channels for testnet validators, and also if you're a user, you can find their channels on the Zika KYC process, for example.
Flawless.
Yeah, and then they
think
can
you missed much,
talk
be
to
honest.
us.
Sorry, I was just saying I don't think you missed much there, to be honest. But then you were carrying on, and I was proven wrong. Sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I was saying that we're already trying to answer some questions, some where we still have to figure out. We're also very thankful for all the feedback that we receive, because to be honest, our documentation is not perfect yet, and feedback is really important to find the places where we have to improve.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Use the resources we have. As Frederick says, like the primary, like direct help will be in Discord. We have some dedicated channels to it, so use them. Get all the information you can from the people who have the knowledge. We got not only our team, but also our sentinels. A lot of them are really up on this stuff and will help you out at a moment's notice. Our sentinels are absolutely amazing. They are the bedrock of our burgeoning little cipher state, and they will help you out. Now, I would like to go on to a couple more advanced questions just to get some knowledge out there. So, Mike T, I will go for you, man. How does Galactica's consensus mechanism differ from other blockchains, if at all? So, how easy is it to run a validator node for Galactica compared to any other particular chain?
Yep, so we use either Mint right now, and actually we don't plan any huge changes to the consensus. We think it's good enough. And for the second question, for now, launching Galactica Validator is kind of same to doing that with any other Cosmos chain. So yeah, should be easy.
Okay, so similar to like Evmos or any other stuff then, I guess. Right. What are the security measures in place on Galactica Network? Like, obviously, security is paramount, as we've already discussed, especially with companies with a reputation to protect. What kind of security are we talking about on the network here today?
The first thing is maybe the cybersecurity, that you need to harden your validator as with any other validator. I think another thing that's Galactica specific is that in mainnet we will have this requirement that you also have a Galactica citizenship. So in this way, we are trying to add some civil resistance by ensuring that the people running validators are also real humans, that they are a bit more accountable than some completely anonymous and not KYC'd validator on another chain.
Beautifully said. So that's what I was trying to aim at in that very poorly worded question. I apologize. But in any case, you have real people. That's what, like, the primary use case of Galactica Network. You have real people, genuine human beings behind the accounts, who are completely private individuals who have their ways of moving freely in their own way. But you don't have to give up their rights in any way in order to prove that they are who they say they are. So the validators are the same way. Every single validator will be a citizen, so you will know that they're at least human, and you'll be able to query them for their publicly available, for their publicly published zero-knowledge proofs. So they will have a reputation to uphold, far more so than they do on most other networks. Are there any specific performance or scalability requirements for like any company that might want to come on board with like multiple validators? Is there anything that they would need to assess in their infrastructure if they wanted to come on? Like, for instance, like Triggs, he's working for Cleomedes. If they wanted to come on board, is there anything they need to keep in mind?
If we talk about like the differences, between Galactica and other Cosmos chains, I think the only one is that you need to have a KYC passed on the network. And yeah, I would say that's it. I'm not sure that we are enforcing that on the testnet, but on the mainnet, that's for sure.
We're
And
not.
I think
No. You don't need to be a citizen on the testnet. It's just a registration process on the testnet.
I mean, citizenship and the KYC are different things. So yeah, I think on the testnet you don't even need the KYC to move on, but on the mainnet that will be for sure.
Brilliant, perfect. Let's go for I guess we'll go for the final thing. I realize that we are running out of time for Mike. He's a very, very busy guy. So I'll just ask you one more, mate. What is Galactica's long-term roadmap and any plans for network development? What does the future hold for validation and validators on the Galactica Network?
Yep. So for the roadmap, I think there will be some parts that will be announced in the coming months, because we have at least one cool feature that will be added to the scope, but that was not communicated before. So for that, I cannot say right now. I think I cannot tell you. For the rest, as I mentioned before, some things that will make the UX better, that will make the ZK proofs generation faster for the users, which is important because they can be quite large and they may take like minutes to generate. And the rest are the main Galactica features, the reputation, and the governance that will be based on that reputation, the bridge to Ethereum at first, and yeah, the rest I think we have already. So that's
awesome. That's awesome stuff, Mike. You have a way of understating things that I love. But in any case, I guess one more thing, Mike. So I was talking to Frederick not long ago, and he was mentioning that So you mentioned yourself just then the reputation V1 and the proto governance V1, and that the reputation systems are quite heavy on the validators. So when they're released, will the validators experience extra load, or what do you reckon on that?
Yes, I would say yes, because if you're calculating on only the transactions for now, I mean you're only working on the blocks that includes the normal transactions, EVM transactions at first. After the reputation release, every transaction will also affect the reputation of a soul or of an address. So yeah, that would require an extra computation for sure. There's no way to avoid that. For sure, not all the reputational metrics that we plan to have will be calculated from the mainnet. We're planning using shards, let's say rollups, for calculating some of the metrics that are not that much crucial for the network. But at least the most important formulas of reputation that will be used for governance will be calculated on the mainnet, and it will be increasing the computational effort that will be needed.
Okay, absolutely brilliant. Perfect, mate. I don't want to keep you for too much longer, Mike. Like I say, I'm very aware, very conscious of your time, but I really appreciate your input, man.
Not worry, all good.
Superb, guys. So if everyone can give 100 or a thumbs up for Mike T for coming along and spending the time to give us the detailed information, I'd appreciate it in the chat. Thank you so much. So I just want to go through with a couple more questions from the community, but before that, I guess. If anyone has any questions, Hoss, Triggs, Frederick, if you have any other things that you kind of that you think we might have missed, or that you think might be valuable for everyone listening regarding validators, I'd love to hear them. But just while you're thinking of those questions, I'm just going to go through a couple of questions we've received in the Discord, unless you've got anything now.
Maybe one more point I think is really interesting about validators. Developing and coming online, and Galactica is delegated proof of stake system is that they usually take a really central role in this ecosystem. So as CosmosHOSS was already referring to, you have the delegators delegating their stake to the validator, who is then reproducing the blocks. And depending on how much delegation you have, you're more or less likely to be selected to produce blocks. So they kind of compete for this delegation, and in that sense also emerge as central figures that are shaping the ecosystem in a way. And I think, therefore, if you want to become a delegator, I think it's a good point to try be in this game early, learn early how it works, what kind of technical setup you're running, but also the social setup to attract the delegation and communicate with your delegators, so that when later also the voting comes in, that you already have kind of the right channels in place. But maybe you, Horst, want to add something to what your experience is doing delegation on other chains?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my random thought is that it could be rewarding being a validator as well. A lot of the validators are very open books, if you will, very helpful. So if you're like, oh, I don't know where to begin, every chain has a validator group within that chain where everyone's talking or chatting or updating or upgrading or things that they messed up on or need to fix. And it's kind of a exclusive group, but it's also it's great. I'm in a bunch of the groups. I'm in some of them that I don't even technically run a validator on. I just go in from time to time and lurk and just read conversations. A lot of it's it's how you do things, so it's really cool. You can learn a lot. But I have a professional group that just they've been validating forever, so I get to pick their brains too. But no, I think it's great. There's a lot of benefits to being a validator too. Plus, it feels like you're more involved, and I think Mike T said it. You kind of are the blockchain in a sense. Like you have to have validators, so validators are very important. I guess in a sense, although I'm not some like big advocate of politicians, you kind of need, even if I don't like most politicians, you kind of need that because who else is gonna do all that, right? I think being a politician is kind of cringy, but you have to have politicians so things can get passed and all that too. So it's almost like you're somewhat of a representative of the people, the chains, and things of that nature as well. So you have to have validators. But validators aren't cringe. I mean, some of them could be, I guess, but for the most part, good peeps.
For sure. I mean, if you're running a validator, you've got a stake in the game. That's kind of the whole point. It's you clearly care, and blockchain is, funnily enough, like despite its very technical nature and its financial underpinnings, blockchain I find has more people who care than most other spaces. It seems odd, but it's very true. I found some of the people who care more about other people in this space than I have in any other. So it's a beautiful thing. I just, you know what, Mike, I don't know if you're actually still here. I might actually have one more question for you if you're still here, dude. If not, no worries.
Yep.
Super cool. Okay, so do we kind of know how much GNet or like UGNet people will have to hold or to stake to run a validator on the testnet, or is that still a thing?
I think it's something around 100, so it's not that much, or 1,000. But actually, you can earn that if you will be like using the faucet every day for some time.
Okay, because I was going to say the faucet only gives out like 10 per try, 10 per 24 hours or something like that, right?
I think it will be like something around a month or something. I just don't remember the exact numbers we put, but in general, you can earn for that. But if you really want to launch it, I think you don't need it because you can just contact us and we will delegate the funds required to your validator because we're really interested in getting as much as we can on that testnet to see the performance.
Okay, that's absolutely perfect. I'm glad we clarified that, because I know a lot of people who are going to be wanting to do this, and so that we need to just make sure we get them registered correctly. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, we are open to that. So just text us.
Super cool. Super cool. Okay, perfect. So I think that's pretty much everything. I don't want to run over time too much, guys, even though this has been an absolutely incredible space. I would just like to request once again, if you could like and retweet this space, give us a comment, just let everyone know that there was a lot of value in this space, because I know I've certainly learned a lot. So you have been listening to Into the Cipher State. So I'm just going to give the final mic to our panel, just to give their final thoughts or say goodbye. So we'll start off with Mike T. Thank you so much for coming on, man. You provided an awful lot of information to these guys and gals.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
You are more than welcome, Mike. You're more than welcome. Thank you for coming up. Triggs, man. Do you have any final words or anything else you want to say?
Not just another fond farewell. This has been really fun. I love talking about validator stuff. It was really, really informative getting to hear from, the tech experts on the team. I always love it when Frederick is here. Always got great input. And Mike, it was nice to meet you. You just popped off, but appreciate the info. And to everybody in the community, if you're interested in running a validator, can't encourage you enough to jump in on the test net, because it's the best opportunity you're going to get to try it out and learn. The worst case scenario, you find out that it's not for you, and life will go on. But if you never try, you might miss the opportunity to find out that you really love doing this, and it's like got something for you in the ecosystem.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like, on Galactica, being a citizen and being a validator, they're just so much more meaningful than they are on other chains, because you have this reputational aspect, you have this human aspect to the blockchain. So, being a citizen means that, you own the network, you own your part of the cipher state, you can truly govern it, but you also, if you are a validator, you take a massive part in that governance of our cipher state. And all these incredible new use cases that come along with the cipher state, you'll be able to make changes. You'll be able to help in the direction that the cipher state goes in. So don't discount the value of the social part of being a validator, as well as just the technical and the financial aspects. I know there's a lot of effort that goes into running a validator. It's probably more simple than you think it is, but there is effort. But the rewards there, the social, the financial, and the knowledge rewards are absolutely massive. Frederick, mate, do you have any final words or anything else you want to say?
First, thanks to all the listeners. It's great to have you here. Great to hear your feedback and questions in Discord or on Twitter. And then my final thoughts is what I also wanted to mention is I'm really excited about the testnet launch, but I think for us as developers it will also be a hard time, because I think there are still a lot of challenges we have to solve. So not only the technical things that we don't know yet and need to be fixed, but also there's a lot to be learned, I think. So on the technology, on the processes that we have, on the communication also, how we teach people to spin up a validator, how we teach people to delegate to a validator, and so on. I guess also there's a lot to learn for the community as a whole on how to organize itself, how the delegators will communicate with their validators, and so on. And one of the things I'm really curious, for example, is how it will look like if we do the first upgrade on the running testnet. So as soon as there is a bug to fix or a new feature to add, all the validators have to agree on how to upgrade the system, and then install the update, sync, and do the transition properly. So this is something I'm yeah, excited for and a bit nervous, hoping that everything will run all right. But
It's going to be all right,
I'm
Frederick. It's
really
going to be all right.
but I'm also really enjoying the challenge and the learning experience.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. If there's any group of people who I know can get over this challenge, it's the Galactica team. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind there. And thank you so much for coming up, Frederick. Your voice is always so valuable, and we really appreciate you coming along and spending your time. So we've also got Hoss, man. Do you have any final words or anything else you want to add before we close this up?
No, I guess I always kind of end my final words and just thanking everyone, thanking all the participants that got to have a conversation with, and those listening, listen to the recording. But yeah, always get involved, whether it's through validation or community outreach or building or being a part of the community. Just I always encourage people, because you don't really understand like where that can lead you to. It can lead you to opportunity, but can also lead you, I think everything's an opportunity in life, but it can lead you to, learning and developing and growing your mind and that. But yeah, as for validation, definitely get involved in test nets and stuff like that. That's how you learn. That's where you can make mistakes, and it's like taking an exam, right? It's like taking a pre-exam. Your professor, your teacher, whomever gives you the test, and there's no consequences. Like here you go, and then you get to learn from that. So I encourage people, because it's cool. It's actually kind of cool to be part of being a validator. It really is, to be honest with you. It does come with some responsibilities, but it is what it is, right? Like I'm in this space full time, so I was like, might as well add that to my repertoire, if you will. And like the next thing is just learning how to do smart contracts next. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to do that, but I would love to learn some CosmosHOSS and mess around and maybe build some stuff, even if it's kind of crap. It's like, oh, I built that. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you're located at. Cheers, everyone.
No, man, thank you for coming, dude. Thank you for coming. Anyone who doesn't enjoy CosmosHOSS, his voice is mad, and his awesome takes and his just general positive attitude. You need to give this man a follow. In fact, you need to give everyone on the stage a follow, so do that right now. Click on everyone's face up here, especially the Galactica profile. Give us a follow. Check out the stuff that's going on over here. Okay, everyone. So you have been listening to Into the Cypher State. This is the premier public broadcast of Galactica Network. We run these shows every week on a Wednesday at 2100 hours UTC on the dot. So if you have enjoyed the content and if you think you've had some value from this space, make sure you give us a like and a retweet on your way out. Essentially what we're doing with Galactica is taking all those like endlessly thrown around buzzwords like real world assets and deep in and digital identity and decentralized society, and implementing them at the protocol level with like a practical mix of privacy and identity and on-chain social rules for users within an on-chain nation that we are calling the Cypher State. It's epic, it's absolutely massive in scope, but we have the team to pull this off. And we have a community behind us, you guys in the chat, who are willing to support us on this journey. So we are really looking forward to putting this into practice, especially with our new testnet. So thank you very much for coming, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate our speakers. I really appreciate you coming and just listening to us talk. We try to provide value, but that's up to you to decide. Let us know in the comments. Give us some feedback in the Discord if you think there are some changes we can make, whatever you want. Happy to hear it. We hope to see you on the next one. In fact, I will definitely see you on the next episode of Into the Cypher State. Thanks for coming, guys. See you soon.